Hey guys, so before we start to our topic, I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing to my channel and supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it and wish everybody well. So now let's get into our topic about if you guys gonna do the conversion van, and obviously I hope you put power in here. And there's two ways that I've done to my car for power. One of them is a battery isolator for smart, and the other one is the solar up on top there. You could barely see it. Basically it's pretty stealth. Okay, but the main one that charges up the vehicle power inside the car whenever I want to cook or anything is mainly this setup. So we have a battery isolator, right? And that uses the alternator of your vehicle to charges up the battery inside your vehicle. Okay, so the first thing you want to have, okay, so let me show you this setup that I have right here. That way you understand easier. Okay, so pretend this oil pan, the oil jug is the battery from your car outside. Okay, first thing you want to do is remove the negative power. Okay, anything you do, just remove the negative power. That's the first thing you want to do. Then you want pretend these wires right here are the red wire, and it should be a 1 gauge to a 1/0 gauge or a 0 gauge. Okay, and you want to stay to the end where I get these power wire, or the 1/0 gauge or the 0/0 gauge, whichever it is, but it should be around in that range. So we're gonna pretend this is 1/0. Okay, so you're gonna put a 1/0 gauge close to the battery and have a 150 amp fuse. Why 150 amp fuse, you're gonna ask me? Because the isolator is 140 amp. Okay, and your isolator, you should choose it to match your alternator amperage. Okay, so my alternator amperage is 130, and yes, the other one's 140 amp fuse, amp power. Okay, you should technically have the same size or smaller for the isolator. However, I went with this one because I could not find an alternator for this vehicle that's bigger than that. Otherwise you have to custom do all kinds of messed up. That's more headache. Okay, but I've been using it for 6 months. Everything's been good. It had never gave me trouble on the isolator or the alternator. Okay, so let's put that aside. Okay, and before we are going all this through, okay, I'm not an electrician or anything, but I have some knowledge in wires and power and everything. Okay, but it's very simple. You can do it, but it's at your own risk. Okay, however, it's not as hard as you think it is. It's very simple. So let's get back into the layout right here. So maybe that's more easier, and then I'll go through the vehicle. Okay, so first thing, negative power off. Then the power line goes to 150 amp fuse. And from the 150 amp fuse, it goes into a kill switch. You should always get a kill switch, okay? That is wherever you want to kill anything off and you want to fix and repair, that's where you kill the switch off. Okay, and from the kill switch, you have another wire. I know it's black, okay? Those are just examples. Like I mentioned, it's a 1/0 red gauge wire, okay? Then you want to go from there, it's going to go to the isolator inside your car. Okay, and from the isolator it comes out and it goes into another 150 amp fuse, and this 150 amp fuse, it close to your in-house battery. Okay, so it's close to there. Have it close together wherever it is you're putting it. Then from there you have a negative terminal. That negative terminal has to go into your somewhere in your chassis in your vehicle. Okay, that's ground. So that means everything's ground up. You have the main battery that's already ground out inside your engine bay. It's already grounded already. And then you have the end of that that's already grounded inside your chassis. Okay, so does that make a sense here? Clear? Now I'm gonna go through with the wire. Let's say if you're gonna use the wire 1/0 gauge, your lug nut should be 1/0 too as well. That's how it's gonna fit in. Okay, I've seen guys on YouTube that uses, okay, that they use, let's say they bought the isolator like the same way that I did, the smart isolator. They bought it, and inside there they have a wire a red and a black long enough. Basically, it's a wire that runs inside your vehicle too, right? However, it's very thin. And that one's like a 6 gauge or 6. I believe it's 6 or 8 gauge. That's not good enough. It's too thin. Okay, that's not good. You can see these already. Your original car battery gauge is bigger than that, so that's really bad. If you're using that, you should go with big gauge wire because your fuse is big, 150 amp fuse. So you have to go, and as you bring your wire, the longer you bring it inside your vehicle, the power loses that odd gauge. Okay, it loses it down. So that's why I say the bigger the gauge, the better. However, so the van ain't that long, okay? So and it's more enough power, the one I have right here, okay? So now I'm gonna demonstrate and show you clearly from my demonstration out there to in here. So again, negative out, red wire to the fuse, 150 amp fuse. Okay, so you have that, and that 150 amp fuse, it runs to over here and goes into one hole that you have to drill inside your vehicle. So you're gonna drill one hole. I found the best one was in there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to lean this phone in here and try to get you to focus, but I don't know if you can see it, but it goes right there. There's a spot right there where I can drill the one hole in. Okay, so from there it runs inside my vehicle to there. You see that red wire? It runs in here and it comes under the seat, okay? And it comes down over here. I cut a spot over here. There's a slot right here I cut, and it runs underneath this and it comes out over here. But now you don't see it because before I had my battery over here, okay? And I cut a slot here and I put my negative ground here. However, I changed the setup. As you can see my my new video setup, I've changed it. So I pulled this one up from over here. I removed it and I bring it to here and I ran it to the kill switch, which is right here. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. There you go, it's clear now. There's the kill switch, okay? And from that kill switch, okay, the kill switch goes into the there's a right here, if you can see it, right down. Let me try to focus again. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you can see it. Wait up. Let me see my hand. If you can see my hand, I'm pointing right at it. It's because the lighting is very bad here. Sorry. Let me remove the phone. Okay, sorry. Just bear with me for a sec. Even though I showed you clear over there, I want to show you inside the vehicle. There you go. Now it's much more clear. Okay, so from the isolator kill switch, okay, from the kill switch, sorry, not the isolator, it goes into the isolator right here. Okay, you see that 12 volt 140 amp, okay, and from there it goes to the fuse, which is over there. You see the fuse? There's two fuse there, but it's the one in the bottom, okay? The other fuse, forget it. It's totally different from something else. So that fuse, okay, it goes to the battery. Okay, it connects to the battery. So now, let me go on top and go in and show you. Okay, sorry, it's a little messy here, but let me move the things out and show you. Okay, you just gotta bear with me for a sec. Sorry, guys. So from here, it goes into the battery. Okay, I have a bunch of stuff here, but basically it goes into the positive battery. There's a bunch of wires here. Don't look at that. You just need to know that it goes into one positive battery. Okay? I have 2 batteries here. You can have 2 or 3, whatever you want to do. Okay? But when you connect 2 or 3, let's say 2 batteries, let's say 2 or more, you're going to connect it parallel. Negative to negative, positive to positive. Okay? So it goes into here. Power. That one red wire that's always going to go into here. The next thing you know is you're going to do is you're going to take a negative wire. Okay? And you're going to run it to a chassis inside a vehicle, to something grounded to the power. So remember when I had the one over there that I grounded to. So now that I have this set up, okay, I remove the console here so I can have a cooler and the battery here. In the beginning, I already moved that in the beginning already, a long time ago when I had the other setup. But I realized I have this space here. So I built a box, I put this in here and it fit perfectly. So that way there's a couple of bolts over here. Those bolts was to hold the coffee console. I removed it so there's a bolt there, and that bolt is grounded to the chassis anyway. The seat is grounded to the chassis of the vehicle, so I put the ground right there. It's perfect. It hasn't gone anywhere. Okay? So that's the setup, guys. And don't worry about all these other wires. These ones you're going to get confused because they're for my inverter and all that. If you want to learn how I put the inverter, and a solar and all that setup, let me know in the comment below. And if you have any comments in regards to how this is done and you're still a little confused, let me know which part, or you can rewind back. And I think I made a lot of distinct how to do it already. So, but if it does still give you trouble, let me know. I can clarify it out for you. Okay? But that's basically all it is, guys. It's very simple. And I think if any of you guys are going to do in a minivan, and if it's on the Odyssey, I think this setup is very good because I've gave it a lot of thought. And why I put it here, I've mentioned in the other vehicle, but I'm going to say it again. The weight putting up here is a lot better because it keeps your engine, all your stuff. When you're going to start packing stuff behind here, your car is going to sag down. That's why if you put it on top here, it counterweight everything and balance it out and makes your engine drive smooth. That's the reason why this setup is good. Plus you can put a cooler right here, right beside you, and your arm as a leverage. When you're driving, it relaxes your arm. Okay? Even you still have room to put your plug and everything right here. Okay, guys? So, actually one more tips I gotta give you a few tips at the end here in regard. So the way you drill the hole here, right? You can use a drill bit that is meant for, drilling to steels, okay? And you just gotta make it bigger. But there's a better drill bit. It's those triangle drill bit that has different size when you're drilling. That is the best one if you're gonna use it. I didn't have that at the time. So I just used a regular titanium drill bit to drill it, and I just made it bigger, but that takes a little longer. However, if you have the other drill bit, the triangle one, that's the best because it'll make the size out good, and then you put a grommet in there and it'll be perfect. That's the only thing that I didn't do that, so I put tape around it so it wouldn't scratch the wire. That's all. Okay? And I'm not gonna take it back out and redo that, and even though like I have the triangle thing now, so drill bit now, okay, but I didn't do that. So now getting back to another few tips where I bought my stuff. There's lot of stuff here that I did buy from Amazon, but there's a lot of stuff in this build that I have got it from outside. Basically I bought it from Facebook, okay? And the first tip I want to give it to you is wire gauge are very extremely expensive. Okay, so if you are installing for a bigger camper van, that's a different story. This is more like a minivan style. And even so, minivan, a lot of the wires are small, and the setup right here that I had it's closed. Everything is closed. That's why the 1/0 to 0 gauge, or those things are more than efficient. The one power that I have here, this power gauge wire, is more than efficient, okay, to hold up its amperage. So that's why I use that. And I bought it first. I bought it on Amazon, the 1/0 gauge wire. It was $100 something, very expensive, which I don't need all that, and it's gonna go to waste later. Basically, it's very waste. So I returned that, and I found I do have a lot of jump cable, to be honest with you. I have like 6 jump cable, but the one that I saw online that they had on Facebook, one of the gentlemen had a 1/0. He said it was 1/0, and it looks, from the picture to me, it looks like 1/0 gauge, but really it looks like a 0 gauge wire to me. Okay, but anyhow, I bought that for only 20 bucks. I think I bought it for only 20 bucks. So that's a huge deal right there on money saving, okay? And the only thing is, another thing, I bought it. So let's say if you bought a 1/0 gauge cable, you need to buy a gauge lug nut. So you can use these, the 3 tools that you're gonna need, like I mentioned, these 3. This is to stamp it down, the lug nut to the wire, and you need a good cutter, and you need a hammer. That's all you need in this process. And okay, black electrical tape to tape it all up. Okay, that's all it is. Very simple. Okay guys, so I hope you like the video, and I really hope that this could help anyone out there that wants to build their car in a camper van. And one more other tip: when you do this way, you have a huge advantage here. One, okay, if your car ever dies out, you could use the isolator that's inside. There's a wire that connects you to the battery inside that starts this vehicle. Buy that. But not only that, that gives you, to let you know how sometimes the car dies and you don't know if it's a battery or an alternator at that time. Okay, you will know if it dies. You'll know it's a battery or an isolator. I mean a battery or the alternator. Sorry, I'm mumbling on, but you'll know which one is dead. Okay, a better sense. Okay, so that's why I say this style of setup is very good for you. And especially this vehicle, I use it to go do a lot of repair work, and I have compressor and all sorts of power. There you go, you have a power source to use from. Alright guys, so I hope it helps you in any way, and I appreciate once again all of you to come watch the channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. That'll help me greatly. And until then guys, stay tuned for the next video, and thank you for coming to my journey.